Nico Rosberg doesn't panic. He doesn't overreact. He doesn't hype teams without reason. So when he looked at Ferrari's Monza test data and said, "That is not normal," the entire paddock listened. But then Miami happened.
Competitive.
My mistake.
The damage that I got after that, then I had nothing.
Sur la voiture, presque une demi-seconde au tour.
Wrong position for that.
The last lap mistake is obviously all on me.
Heading to turn 11. Oh, Charles Leclerc spins!
Ended in the wall and
Made to sweat for it.
And the man who once beat Lewis Hamilton to a world championship had to sit down and ask a very uncomfortable question. Was Monza a revolution? Or was it a mirage? Because right now, Ferrari is bleeding from two directions at once. And one of those wounds came from inside Mercedes itself. Let's go back to what Rosberg actually saw. Ferrari tested at Monza. The data came back, and Rosberg's reaction was immediate. That data was not normal. That was not a team chasing the pack. That looked like a team that had unlocked something fundamental. Those aren't casual words. That's a world champion telling you something has shifted. So Ferrari arrived in Miami carrying that energy. A major upgrade package. Real expectations. High ones. Leclerc got off the line beautifully. He jumped Antonelli. He jumped Verstappen. In those opening laps, the Monza promise looked real. But then came lap 47. A final lap push. A spin. A brush with the wall. A damaged car limping to the flag. And then, 20 seconds. A post-race penalty for corner cutting that turned a potential podium into P8. Leclerc himself said it. "I pushed very hard. I thought it was a good idea, but it was a very poor decision. And in the space of 4 corners, I put a very strong race in the bin." That sentence tells you everything. When a driver of Leclerc's caliber makes that kind of move, it's not recklessness. It's desperation, because the car still isn't giving him the confidence to be patient. And Hamilton? Damage on lap 1 after contact with Colapinto. Racing an entire Grand Prix compromised. Finishing 6th. Calling it. Not a good weekend at all. Rosberg's verdict was clean and brutal. Miami was the first real test of that confirmation. And the answer, right now, is not yet. But here's what nobody was talking about loudly enough. Because while Ferrari was struggling on track, something was happening off it. Something that changes the long-term picture entirely. Mercedes just handed Ferrari a gift. And they didn't even mean to. Williams team boss James Vowles confirmed it during the Miami Grand Prix weekend. Clara Simpson, Group Aerodynamics leader. Over 10 years at Mercedes. One of the senior technical architects behind their recent dominance. Gone. She walked out of Brackley and into Williams as head of aerodynamic development. Her first day on the job? The Friday of the Miami Grand Prix weekend. And Vowles didn't stop there. He said, "There are some great people coming over the next 3 or 4 months." This follows Dan Milner, former chief research and development engineer at Mercedes. Also now at Williams. 2 senior technical figures. Gone. In the space of weeks. Now ask yourself, what does this mean for Lewis Hamilton? Hamilton left Mercedes for Ferrari chasing a championship. But the engineers who built Mercedes into a dynasty, some of them are now rebuilding Williams. And every brain that leaves Brackley is a brain that isn't there to stop Ferrari catching up. This isn't just an exit. This is a slow structural collapse happening in plain sight. But that's not even the biggest story coming out of Miami. Because the FIA found something. And if it's real, everything Mercedes has built this season comes into question. For races. For victories. A championship lead that is starting to look untouchable. But here's what doesn't add up. Mercedes arrived in Miami with no major visible upgrades. No new parts. No significant development package. Ferrari brought a complete overhaul. McLaren brought meaningful improvements. Red Bull kept pushing. And yet, Mercedes won. Again. And not just one. They executed the most decisive strategic move of the entire race. Lap 27. The undercut. Antonelli pits. Fresh tires. Clear track. And one out lap so fast, so precise, that when Norris reacted just 1 lap later, it was already over. That's not just strategy. That's a level of precision that forces questions. Because the performance gain in that phase didn't fully match what rivals were seeing from their own cars. Not enough to prove anything, but enough to raise suspicion. And in Formula One, suspicion is where every investigation begins. The FIA started asking targeted questions. Why did the car gain that much time on that specific lap? Why did performance spike exactly at the undercut moment? Why did the car remain stable even when Antonelli reported problems? G. Airbox concerns, throttle inconsistencies? A car with problems shouldn't perform perfectly, unless something is compensating. That's the anomaly. That's what the FIA is now digging into. Telemetry, deployment patterns, energy management, corner exits, straight line behavior. Everything, lap by lap. And here's what makes this dangerous for Mercedes. They don't need to find something massive. They just need to find something slightly outside the rules. In this sport, slightly is enough. While the FIA closes in on Mercedes, Hamilton is quietly dismantling Ferrari's preparation process. His revelation after Miami was extraordinary. I'm going to have a different approach in the next race because the way we're preparing at the moment is not helping. He's abandoning the simulator. Completely. Before Canada, I don't like simulators in general, but I'm at the simulator every week. You go on it, you prepare for the track, you drive it, you get the car set up, and then you come to the track, and that setup doesn't work. In Miami, the car suffered from mid-corner understeer. The correlation between Maranello and the circuit simply wasn't there. And on a sprint weekend with only one practice session, there was no time to recover. But here's the layer underneath this revelation. When Hamilton went to China without simulator preparation, he had his best weekend of the season. Clean, fast, controlled. So now the question isn't just about Hamilton's method. It's about Ferrari's infrastructure. If the simulator is misleading their lead driver, are the upgrades being built on false data? Is the correlation problem bigger than one race weekend? And now Canada arrives. Mercedes bringing their biggest upgrade package of the season. McLaren adding more. Ferrari hoping, not knowing, whether Montreal unlocks what Miami buried. Scenario 1. The FIA finds nothing on Mercedes. Every system legal. Every gain justified. And Antonelli extends his championship lead in Canada with the new upgrade package, making Mercedes truly untouchable. Scenario 2. The FIA finds something. Even something small. Race wins evaporate. Points disappear overnight. And suddenly, the team that looked like a dynasty becomes the story of the biggest scandal of the season. Scenario 3. Hamilton goes to Canada without the simulator. No correlation problems. No compromised setups. Just a driver trusting his instincts. And Ferrari finally delivers what Monza promised. One of these SC. Inario's rewrites this season completely. Is Mercedes dominant? Or are they hiding something the FIA is about to expose? Can Ferrari stop bleeding talent, data problems, and race day mistakes before this championship becomes impossible to win? And Lewis Hamilton, the man who left the most dominant team in history to chase one final dream. Is he finally about to find his answer in Montreal? This season isn't about who's fastest anymore. It's about who survives.